Now, we know this group has been in operation for quite some time. But whenever we find a victim, he refuses to testify or press charges.
Probably because there aren't any.
There are plenty.
Well, I still don't understand what this so-called operation is, and I completely fail to see how it can involve me.
Okay, we'll take them one at a time. This first case was a classic bar pickup. A few too many drinks, and a nightcap in a motel room. Every police officer or private eye in the world knows it backwards, but visiting firemen and such fall for it every time.
Right over here, baby. Let's have a nightcap.
We got wind of this operation by a lucky break. The FBI called me.
Yes, please.
It seems Aerospace Central felt some of their advanced design proposals were being turned over to their competition.
That's it.
Their competition's proposals always seem to reflect a pretty thorough knowledge of Aerospace Central's plans.
What's this got to do with me?
Patience, Mr. Harding. Anyway, all they could do was let us know that one of the lead engineers of Aerospace Central was in town for some high-level meetings. So we could keep an eye on him and maybe learn the source of the security leaks. We put a tail on him and bugged his motel room.
Baby, I've said it all my life. There's no such thing as luck. Man makes his own luck. Take tonight. You know that joint where I met you? Remember those two guys? Do you know what they're saying right now? They're saying that Wyman is a lucky devil. They don't know the score. I wasn't being lucky. I made my own luck.
What if I'd said no?
Baby, you didn't.
No, Bruce, fix me another drink, please.
Whatever's fair.
So all your life, it's just been you?
5 years ago, when I went to work for Aerospace Central, I was just another engineer. I walked into that drafting room, there were 1,000 guys working in there. And I said to myself, it's push or get pushed. You know what I did, baby?
No, tell...
Today, I've got a whole unit working for me. Do you know how many men that is? Just take a guess.
100?
100? You've got to be kidding. That's 1,500 men working for me, baby. I'm a doer.
I'll get it. Can I have that drink? Here's to the doers.
That's the spirit, baby. Doers take all.
Deus been a life of shame. They do make today won't stand away. If somebody else beats fire, her rules of the game are always the same. She sells to the highest buyer. For love e money, ela corre o mundo inteiro. For love e money, ela corre o mundo inteiro. To any that think that money or mink will kindle true love in her eyes, she'll say that's just straight, then use him as bait for lending a bigger price.
We managed to get a lot of interesting noises, but nothing that we could use to arrest anyone on. But we do know, from the time the girl left the bed until she left the apartment, she had time to do a lot more than just dress. We picked her up when she left the motel, but we had no legal basis even to search her. We got Wyman up, but he blew his top and threatened to sue us for harassment, false arrest, the whole works.
All right, so some visiting fireman carries on a little and gets away with it. You have no case there. And how do you feel it involves me? Gardner, I'm getting a little tired of all the mystery. You have no warrant for my arrest. Remember, you asked me if I'd be good enough to come in here and talk with you. Now, in simple words, just what is it you want from me?
I could have the warrant in 10 minutes, but that isn't necessary, so I'll get to the point. For the record, Wyman didn't get away with it. It seems Aerospace Central was looking for the source of their leaks. Whether Wyman was one or not, I don't know. But he violated so much company procedure that they fired him. Anyway, where do you fit in the picture? Well, we figured that girl was more than a cheap bar pickup. So we had a tail put on her. The next day, she went to the office where she works, at least part-time, for her payoff. Ever see her before?
No, of course not.
Well, I have my own ideas about that.
Look, I agreed to come down here and agreed to talk with you about what I still don't know.
Okay, Mr. Harding, sorry, just a feeler. Anyway, this is Irene Kelly, who runs an employment agency for temporary help. You know, anything from secretaries to convention hostesses. And from what we've learned lately, it goes a great deal further than that.
Be that as it may, it's got nothing. Nobody's looking for anything I have. I'm just a plain old run-of-the-mill businessman.
Mr. Harding, please don't pretend to be so naive. We all know that in the great corporate structures, there are those who will use any means to achieve an objective. Ever see this girl?
Of course not.
Well, I'll believe that. But she's only one in the chain that connects you with Miss Kelly. This case all started routinely enough on a typically smoggy Saturday morning. Her name is Tanya, and she also works for Miss Kelly.
Tanya, I'm Loring Grant.
Nice meeting you.
We were lucky finding her. It was another accident. We picked her up on a narcotics bus. And she was carrying a very large bundle. A little hard to explain for a girl who can hardly speak English and has no visible means of support. Anyhow, she was terrified that we'd think she was peddling the stuff and deport her back home, where the police there would also like to talk to her. So she sang like a bird. and her song checked out in every detail. Except, as usual, the two main characters refused to acknowledge that the events ever occurred.
Sit down, Tanya. Now, Tanya, there are a couple of small but important details I want to be sure that you understand before I take you to meet the old man.
Fine, sure. Miss Carroll said you'd be giving me the details.
Well, now, Miss Kelly also said that you'd be willing to cater to the old man's stranger requirements.
For a price.
Well, Miss Kelly and I have discussed your $750 basic daily fee and the $1,000 bonus for accomplishing the most dramatic situation.
We are together. For that kind of money, I can do anything.
Good. Now, Tanya, I've felt for quite some time that my boss, Mr. Floyd Shermack, should resign for reasons of health as head of Stallion Motors. Now, the logical person to fill this position is me.
Fine. I dig. What's this?
Oh. Well, it's nothing that you haven't used before. It's just a little different. I've managed to perfect a few things over the year. Now, the key to the whole system is this ring. And it's really a super miniaturized radio transmitter. It's completely shockproof and waterproof, so never take it off, not even in the shower. Now, he won't mention it, but if he does, you just tell him it's stuck. Now, I'll be waiting nearby with the receivers in the truck, so I'll be able to hear what's happening at all times. When something does start, I'll start my recorder. Now, this ring is so sensitive that even if I hold it at arm's length and whisper in the opposite direction, it picks up my voice. Now, I see you're skeptical. Well, that's why it's important that you appreciate this gear. We can't have you spending all day talking into your ring. Here, I'll play the last part back. So sensitive that even if I hold it at arm's length and whisper in the opposite direction, it picks up my voice.
Wow. That really is fantastic.
Well, that covers everything. Now, just be sure that when you get the old man in a completely compromising position that...
Don't worry. I'm hip. Let's get going.
Good morning, Floyd.
It's awfully good of you to bring the young lady all the way up here.
Oh, my pleasure. Tanya, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Floyd Shermack. Floyd, this is Tanya, the
Hi.
loveliest model in town.
Well, if anything, Loring, I'd say that is an understatement. May I help you, please?
Thank you.
Yes, may I offer you both a drink?
Not for me, thanks. I've still got a lot of loose ends to tie up before the board of directors meeting on Monday.
Well, suit yourself, my boy. I must say I admire your spirit and your drive. And when this old ticker of mine finally decides that I have to step down, you're my man for the job.
Well, those are kind words, Floyd. Thank you.
No, I should be the one to thank you for bringing me this lovely young lady, and with such an exquisite young lady. No photographer could help but make magnificent pictures.
Well, I really must be getting back to town. Tanya, it was nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Loring, thanks again for everything.
My pleasure, Floyd. I want to do everything I can to help foster the arts. I'll be seeing you.
Goodbye. Well, Tanya, what do you think? I think it's kind of a gin and tonic day.
Sound groovy. Would you make me a weak one, please? I think I'd like to change into something more comfortable.
Why, that's an excellent idea, my dear. You can change right in there. And the bathroom's in the rear of the house.
sleep with tramps or kings. The stranger the need, the greater the greed of girls who are there to play. But sin is like greed, the greater the need, the greater who spend. She's made up her mind, she's one of a kind, whose kisses are bought and sold. Each kiss hot and tender, each loving surrender, she trades for a sack of gold.
Cheers.
Cheers, Mr. Chairman. Wow! I hate to see you make a strong drink.
Well, I guess I was a little heavy-handed. Tanya, I don't think of you as just a temporary employee. I'd just as soon you call me Floyd.
Fine by me, Floyd.
That's better. Now smile. You're on Shermack's Candid Camera. Fine. Why don't you let that beautiful hair of yours flow down over your shoulders? And take the top of your bikini off, too.
Won't somebody see me out here?
Oh, we're quite secluded here, Tanya. Don't worry. Now, why don't you go over against the wall of the cabin?
Like this?
Oh, that's beautiful. Its rough texture should make an interesting contrast with your beautiful soft skin. Now, let's try it with you facing the other way. That's it. Now, lean back. Look up there. That's fine. Oh, yes. That's it. Get closer to you, dear. The chair. That's it. Put it real close.
Hey, Floyd, for this kind of stuff, we can get in real trouble.
No, my dear. Not if we don't try to sell it. You let me worry about the law. Besides, this is strictly for my own private collection. That's why I have all my own darkroom equipment.
Well, you are the boss.
Well, then let's try it with you.
Like this?
Fine. I think we should have some nice seductive poses of you in the bedroom. What do you think?
Anything you say, I'm ready.
Good. I'll meet you there, honey. I have to get some film for my camera.
For love ain't money, to her it's just work for pay. For love.
And that, Mr. Shermack, about winds up the last of the loose ends. How's the old ticker now, Floyd? You know, I think at the board meeting on Monday, you might mention that your successor also has a keen interest in photography.
I agree that that's a bizarre story, all right, but I still fail to see what connection it has with me.
Bizarre is not quite the word for it, Mr. Harding. As you're well aware, immediately after Floyd Shermack announced his resignation and appointed Loring Grant his successor, he suffered a rather severe heart attack. And it was then your company bought Stallion Motors and replaced all top management, including Loring Grant, with your people.
Now, see here, Gardner. If you're trying to imply that our merger with Stallion is in any way attached to that sordid mess, you're 1,000% wrong. And I'm going to drag you into court and force you to show any connection between the two.
Now, you hold it, Mr. Harding. Even if there was a connection, it's not the one I'm trying to establish. I'm sure the tracks would be too well covered.
Well, what is it you're trying to establish?
Just this. The girl in the motel put us on to Miss Kelly, and Tanya tied it down. And we've had a stakeout at the place for the past few weeks, with her phones tapped.
Phone taps? You know as well as I that's not legal evidence. Nothing you learn that way will stand up in court.
I know, Mr. Harding, that's the ironic part. The means criminals use to operate are denied to us, but that's a hassle for the courts to settle. I'm a cop, not a philosopher. What I need is a victim to stand up and blow the lid off this whole stinking mess.
And I still fail to see why you think I'm in any way involved.
I'll tell you why, Mr. Harding. As this picture clearly shows, you were in Miss Kelly's office yesterday afternoon.
All right. All right, I'll tell you. Look, I work under terrific, almost unbearable pressure. As controller of the ANPAC Corporation, I'm responsible for the series of mergers and acquisitions that have been making financial headlines. But sometimes, I just have to get away from it, if only for a few hours. And then I met this young girl, a nice, comfortable kind of girl to be around.
She plays a deadly game for love and money. She deals pain a life of shame. And you wait today won't stay away. If somebody else beats fire, her rules of the game are always the same. She sells to the highest buyer.
Hello, Don.
Hello, Francie. Francie, it feels so good just to hold you again.
I'm glad you're here too, Don. I wasn't sure I'd ever see you again. After that party, well, successful businessman meets some chick, takes her to a motel, and that's the end of it. We all do some pretty wild or silly things when we're drinking.
I guess I'm usually like that. But Francie, until that night with you, I never felt so released.
I understand, Don, and I'm flattered. That's why I'd hoped you'd come, so I wouldn't be just another, oh, you know.
Say, this is really something, honey. When you described it to me last week, it sounded like something you'd dreamed of. We'd all had plenty to drink, you know. I can see where with those capsules and all, this could be a pretty drop-in, trip-out place. You do have some more of those capsules, don't you?
Supply is unlimited. But first, let's relax. Get unraveled. Take it easy.
Oh, what a week. One more meeting and I would have...
Poor baby. Big business.
If I could only get that attorney from Quinline Petroleum to... Let's just forget it. Like you say, let's unlax.
I'm for that. Now, darling, if you get out of that old suit, I'll run you a nice, hot shower.
That's a wonderful idea.
Be ready in a second.
Good.
Hi, Cindy. This is Francie. I just called to tell you I won't be able to make it tonight. Some other time, maybe. Huh? Right, that's the one. Now that he's here, everything's going to be perfect. Gotta go now, hon. Talk to you later. Bye.
I knew when I let her introduce me to LSD that I was letting myself in for trouble.
Aren't you a little old for the LSD and hippie bit?
I know. I've read all about all the disastrous results that can happen. I've even given my kids long lectures on the harm that can come from its use.
If you're aware of all this, what made you fall for it?
Lieutenant,
I've been trying to tell you about the tremendous pressures I've been under. She made it all seem like a serene oasis. To kill the taste. I knew it was wrong, but at the time it seemed so right. Somehow I mistakenly managed to justify it in my mind.
My secret love. Just like the perfect housewife fixing tired old hubby's favorite dish.
It's a dish, all right. And here, a treat should be enjoyed the moment it's ready.
Great. But let's have some music, huh?
Remember, take it quick. Changed a little. I'll put on some more records.
Then can we try that painting you mentioned?
Sure.
Tell me, Francie, how do you feel tonight? How shall I paint you?
I feel round and very warm. That's how I feel. Round. Not like girl round, but round like there are no square corners to catch on anything. It's hard to explain that kind of round.
I know the kind of round. I feel it too. I seldom have in the past few years. So I'm going to paint you as a forest I knew years ago. It was very dense, but not dank. Just very, very succulent. Now we paint you back. Now we paint your back.
Now it's time for those ferns to open and fill the forest. Soon the forest fills with unwinding ferns. Now
I'm going to do them with straight lines and crosses. They're so lovely. Oh, you're so gorgeous. Let me turn you around slowly and watch the curves revolve. The complete color, the whole spectrum of you belongs to you and me.
Yesterday in their office, I learned about the hidden TV camera. They had miles of videotapes. I've never in my life almost killed anyone.
Who's they?
Miss Kelly and a man who sat in the shadows. I never even saw his face. He said when he called, he'd say his name is Frank Smith.
What's he want?
Advance information on any of our planned transactions which might affect the stock market.
And you told them yes.
I told him no.
Sure, Harding, you told them no. And now they're sending copies of that stuff all over town. You tell me you said no. I tell you you said yes.
I told him I needed time to think.
Time to think while Kelly sets up another sucker and the blackmailing and the extortion of innocent people goes on?
Innocent? That's a laugh. If any of us were innocent, it couldn't go on in the first place.
No, Harding, you're not innocent. But the people who put their trust in you and others like you to protect their savings, their jobs, their kids' education and future, they're the innocents who make you so stinking guilty. Can't you forget yourself for once? Now tell me you'll help us put this bunch behind bars where they belong.
Lieutenant, please, I have to have time to think. I know how you feel, but I have my wife, my children to consider. If it were just me, I wouldn't hesitate a minute.
All right, Harding, here's another case. We can guess what will occur, but we still can't do anything about it. Since we've gotten a pretty good line on this bunch, we've had them all under surveillance. In fact, this afternoon, one of our men tailed Kelly and one of her assistants to a beach house on the coast. The house he's watching belongs to Futura Space Systems. They use it for high-level VIPs when they're in town. Reynolds, this is Gardner. Do you read me?
Roger, Lieutenant. Not too much happening. One of them is still acting as a lookout.
Oh, that figures. She could be trying to bug the house. Let me know if anything unusual happens.
Roger, Lieutenant. Over and out.
Kelly is the best example of how some of these industrial espionage operators have brought the bugging business to a high degree of art. A good bug pays two ways. Even if they don't have an operator in the house with a mic on them, like the Tanya case, they can still keep track of what takes place and sell the information to the competition. This lets their client off the hook. If they get caught, they just deny any knowledge of how the information was procured. It's like trying to arrest a man who gets a hot tip on a fixed horse race and wins the bet. The second payoff is in the blackmail department. They get recordings of important men in compromising situations. If the guy realizes what's happened, he is usually reluctant to talk when they play the tapes for him. But I guess you know all about that end of it.
For love and money, she'll have no special friend. For love and money, she'll sell to all who spend. She's made up her mind. She's one of a kind whose kisses are bought and sold. Each kiss hot and tender, each loving surrender. She trades for a sack of gold.
We're ready for a test.
Okay, Irene. Ready at this end.
stand by. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. Brother Blake, I'm about to take. Ding dong bell, pussy's in the well. Who put her in? She went for a swim.
Fine. You're coming in loud and clear.
Okay, on my way.
Lieutenant, the girl is coming out of the house now. Want me to pick them up?
No, just keep an eye on them and keep me posted.
Roger, over and out.
Why not pick them up? This is a chance you've been waiting for.
Sure, what's the offense? Breaking and entering? Any junior law clerk in this town could have them out in an hour. Listen, Harding, I'll make a deal with you. If you help me nail this bunch, I'll do everything in my power to keep what stuff they have on you out of the papers. But if you don't, I won't lift one little finger to keep anything hushed up, no matter how much influence you and your friends exert.
I really have to have time to think.
Well, please keep me posted on the progress of your weighty deliberations. You know you can reach me at this number at almost any time of the day.
All right, Lieutenant.
You've been talking for hours.
I'm almost finished.
Say, how about a drink? You probably need one after all that typing.
Please, scotch and soda.
Here's that drink.
Thank you. Here's some papers you can look over.
Yes, Miss Quinn?
Is it all right for me to leave now, Mr. Harding? It's after 8 o'clock.
I'm sorry, Miss Quinn. I completely lost track of time.
That's quite all right. I had some letters that I had to get out anyway. See you tomorrow.
Good night, Miss Quinn. And I'm terribly sorry.
Ooh, my back is a little tired. Well, that was the last page. Shall we proofread them?
How's your drink?
Fine. But aren't you going to look at the papers?
Maybe later. But right now, why don't we relax a little?
Really, Mr. Carter, you shouldn't do that.
There's no need to be so formal. I mean, I do have a first name. It's Blake.
I'd much prefer you used it.
Well, it's all right to be informal, but you should remember your position.
My position is perfectly clear. I'm standing here with a beautiful girl in my arms. Stars are out. It's a great
That's
night.
not the type of thing I was referring to. I mean, you should remember your family in the East.
I'll worry about them for both of us.
I'm afraid I might get in trouble with the company, though.
Don't worry about the company. They won't know anything about it. Why don't we go in the other room? It's more comfortable.
Reynolds, what's happening?
Nothing that I can see. The girl is inside the house. The white truck with her assistant is parked about a block away. Any instructions?
Not right now. We haven't got enough on him to make anything stick. That guy in the radio truck could just play dumb. We can only hope that Harding will come through.
Hello?
Mr. Harding, please.
This is Harding.
This is Frank Smith, Mr. Harding.
And?
We have been apprised of a pending acquisition by your company of Argot Industries. We might be interested in the quick purchase of some Argot stock. It is true, isn't it, Mr. Harding?
We haven't made our final decision.
That isn't what my sources say, Mr. Harding. I think you better make that decision now.
Just a minute. I just received our auditor's final report. Let me at least see what they recommend. Hold on.
This is Lieutenant Gardner.
Lieutenant Gardner, this is Don Harding. You can count on my help. Frank Smith is on one of my lines now expecting some information. Look, I'll keep him busy with some mumbo-jumbo while you put a trace on the call. All right?
Thanks, Mr. Harding. I kind of had a hunch you'd come through. Come on down, if you will, for a few identifications. Meanwhile, I'll start rounding up the cast.
All right, Lieutenant.
Thompson, Harding just called. He has one of the gang on the phone. Get a trace on it right away. Reynolds?
Yes, Lieutenant.
Okay, Reynolds. We got what we need. Pick him up. I'll send a wagon down.
On my way, Lieutenant. Freeze. All right, let's lay everything down now. Let's back out slow. Let's go get your girlfriend.
Well, Mr. Harding, by your cooperating, I'm sure we can get to those tapes before they are shown around. And with your testimony in court, it just about clears up the case. Now, your family and company will learn about the matter, and what effect that will have on you, only time will tell. Seems quite a high price to pay for a little stolen pleasure, wouldn't you say, Mr. Harding?
But sin is like greed, the greater the need, the greater the price to pay.